Greetings, my husband wants to watch me with another man. Dear Mckoy, my husband and I have been together for 2 years and have been considering adding a third person into the bedroom. We had just 2 encounters with this one female, first before we got married and the second time after we got married. The thing is, I'm beginning to question whether or not I want to continue doing this. The experience is exciting and all, but negative emotions can surface if boundaries are not set. Now he wants to take it a little further by telling me he wants me to engage in sexual activities with another guy while he watches. Even after I expressed how uncomfortable I was with his request, he insisted that sexual exploration was important to him, and that he didn't want our sex life to become stale. He says he would like to experience the thrill of trying something new, and he would prefer to involve me. He is a wonderful person, and I admire and respect him. It crushes my heart to know that he feels he is missing out on something in our relationship, but I don't believe that I personally require that feeling to be satisfied in any way. I am more than willing to experiment in other ways, but it does not appear that our sexual preferences are compatible. This was never a problem for me until recently. I wish he had told me before we got married that he had certain wild fantasies that he needed to play out. I understand that people's needs are continually changing, and that can be the case with their needs for a spouse. To me, it sounds like he's needing the excitement of a new relationship, which is something I'm not sure I can provide. Are there any suggestions on how to proceed or how to figure out if it's something else? Our dear M.R., my suggestion is to stick to your principles. Allowing him to push you into doing something you don't want would only harm you in the long run. He should have found someone who does not want monogamy if he wanted sexual exploration after marriage. For the vast majority of people, marriage entails monogamy. If he is pressuring you to do something, he isn't respecting you or your decision. Furthermore, you are not preventing him from doing anything. If he is with you, he chose monogamy as his option. If he wants another type of relationship structure, he will have to divorce you and start over. A final point to mention is that being with one person is not boring. You are not required to include others in order to have a fulfilling sex life. I hope you make the right choice. Greetings, my husband cannot last for long during sex. Dear Mckoy, my husband and I have been together since we were in high school. I love him, enjoy his company, and overall we have a good relationship. However, the sex is terrible, and it's only getting worse. The sex was decent when we were younger, even though he would finish a little too soon. I'd say that in the last 5 years or so, sex has deteriorated to the point where I no longer desire to engage in it. It's no foreplay, straight to the intercourse, and he finishes in under a minute every time, and I'm not exaggerating or being dramatic. I was in the mood last weekend and initiated sex. He kissed me for a few minutes, barely touching me anywhere, and he came before he was even halfway inside. He didn't even apologize, or say let's go again. He expects me to give him oral on a regular, but the number of times he's gone down on me can be counted on one hand. I feel like a burden to him, and I know I'll never be sexually pleased. I'm having fantasies about having sex with random people. I would like to experience how it feels to be completely satisfied. I'm not going to cheat, and I'm not going to leave. He has a special place in my heart. However, something has to give. He's gotten upset in the past when I've discussed toys. I believe he's ashamed and feels threatened in some way. But I'm going to have to supplement since I can't go on like this for much longer. What's the best way for me to handle this? T.C. Dear T.C. Communication, in my opinion, is crucial to maintaining a healthy relationship. You should tell your husband that your sexual needs are not being met. If you don't do this, then you will rob him of the opportunity to improve, whether it's in terms of stamina or by making a greater effort to please you in other ways. Also, I wouldn't rule out the possibility that part of the reason things have deteriorated is due to your husband's personal humiliation. If I believed I was unable to please my wife, I would be terribly embarrassed, and I would most likely dread sex. Which, I believe, would just exacerbate the situation. So don't be afraid to tell him how you feel, and both of you can work together to resolve this issue as soon as possible. Greetings, confession. I got married to a lesbian. My wife and I met 4 years ago and dated for 2 years before we got married, and I never saw any lesbian tendencies in her. She was fun to be around, loving, compassionate, and full of life. I went ahead and married straight away, convinced that I had found the perfect woman. A couple months after the marriage she started withdrawing and refused to let me touch her. It has been over a year since I have even seen her underwear. She says that she hates having sex because it's painful. I told her we should go to the doctor, but she keeps saying no. Recently I found out that she is registered on lesbian dating websites. It is shocking to see the amount of lesbian porn all over the browser history. She also follows a specific black lesbian Twitter feed where she watches lesbian porn videos of black women. She has a girlfriend that is constantly at our house. They do almost everything together, and I can imagine what they do when I am not around. I told her that I don't want her friend at our house anymore, and she gets upset. Whatever her friend is doing, I am sure I can do better, but I guess she prefers being with women, so I have decided to get a divorce. I have invested so much time in our marriage for nothing. I am so heartbroken. Write to us via WhatsApp 1-876-353-1389 and remember to subscribe and share, dear Mckoy.